A border showdown is brewing in Eagle Pass, Texas right now, a huge hub for illegal border crossings. There is a standoff that is underway between the federal government, which wants the razor wire that Texas put in place there to protect its own state. They say it has to go. And Republican Texas Governor Greg Abbott says he will not. The Biden administration has now given him a deadline of tomorrow to allow Border Patrol access to the area. It's called Shelby Park, essentially setting up a confrontation potentially between federal agents and the Texas National Guard.
What is up, YouTube? It's Coffee tapping back in, man, and quite the situation developing in Texas. You know, not the typical kind of stuff I always cover on this channel, but we like to, you know, try to cover a bit of everything. And this seems like it could really become a much larger situation than it already is, as we see Texas and the governor and, you know, just basically telling Biden, F you, telling the federal government, F off. We're going to do what we do. We're unhappy with what you've been doing. And, you know, we want to run our own program here. As you see, they've set up shop at the border, put up a razor wire. Biden giving them a deadline, you know, telling them take it down. They're telling them, why don't you come take it down? And there's just a lot of coverage going on of this situation. And I don't know, you know, Texas has always had the image as kind of, I don't know, comment. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Where there's always been this image or saying, like, people will always talk about Texas like they're their own world, or if one state were to ever break off and go against the United States or break off and become independent, it would be Texas. Comment, let me know if you feel me on that, if you feel that's accurate. And like I always say, this political matters to me are always so hard to follow. It feels like you can never take everything for what exactly it is. And, you know, a lot of times there's other things at play that can be hard to decipher. You know, there can be other little political matters stemming off a certain situation. At least I feel that way. Again, share all your thoughts with me in the comments below. But you see a lot of people going back and forth talking about this and saying, well, you know, pass these bills if you really want to help, or saying Texas's actions are inconsistent. You know, I don't know, man. It's pretty wild when you see people arguing about this stuff. And again, you know, for anyone watching this video, as always, make these videos to open the comment threads and have a discussion with the people and see how everyone feels. You know, like, this is not a situation where I'm weighing in a heavy opinion. I'm just kind of sitting back saying, wow, this is crazy. What's going on? You know, what will happen? Does this have the potential to get out of hand? I mean, it's not every day you see a state telling the federal government, the president, the commander-in-chief, go F yourself. It's pretty insane if you really think about it. And then what's even wild as well is this is Texas National Guard who is down there as they're shutting things down at the border. And, you know, the president's giving demands and orders to the governor of Texas and Texas itself, right? And they're not just telling the president to F off. The National Guard is saying, I guess, right, we're going to listen to the governor and not the president. I don't even know how all this stuff works at the end of the day, but I just saw this going on and said, man, this is wild, you know? I see some people seeing this and reacting very over the top and kind of, you know, echoing the sentiment that I'm sharing, that this is pretty wild and this could get out of hand. And then I see some people saying, man, this is just a show. This is being done for different reasons. It's not this big controversy that we think it is. And I'm going to share a clip that I'm going to end the video with y'all, with Florida Governor Ron Desantis speaking about the situation and supporting Florida. And he's talking about a lot of other issues of the president and, you know, being unhappy with a lot of the stuff going on with how he's running the show and stuff about the National Guard, how states basically have to stand up to the government, and speaking about the border crisis and, you know, where, in his opinion, people are really coming from and how things are becoming overwhelming for certain cities and states with people crossing into America. And he's talking about sanctuary cities and different things like that. Again, I'm going to conclude this video with that clip, but I also wanted to share this. I believe this is like a group of people, civilians or citizens, I think. I'm not 100% on that. Correct me if I'm wrong, that are banding together and going and, you know, pushing their movement and getting involved in this situation as well. It says in the news, protest convoy headed to southern border. Could it be a setup? A convoy of patriots is heading to the U.S. border with Mexico next week as the standoff between Texas and the federal government intensifies. The organizers of the Take Our Border Back convoy say they are on a mission to stand up against the globalists who they claim are conspiring to keep U.S. borders open and destroy the country. Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt alerted to the possibility of a force-on-force conflict erupting between the federal government and the Texas National Guard, and now more as these people head to Texas. So real quick, that's what I was talking about. Where could this get out of control? Could this get crazy? Is this something to worry about? Or, you know, is this just some political games going on? What do you think? Comment below. Like, what he's talking about there, basically force being used and stuff like that. I mean, that sounds like something that could erupt into a war, a civil war, essentially, you know. And it's just so crazy with the National Guard being involved. I don't even know what to make of all this. Then it goes on to say the Oregon. Oh, sorry, I already read that. I'm not sure how this will turn out, but you better believe there will be some in the crowd who will not have pure of heart intentions. So real quick, want to pause and say there too, that's where things get crazy as well with a lot of situations, like not just this, other stuff in the past where people are protesting or something like that. They say one rotten apple can spoil the bunch. What I'm basically saying is you never know what everyone individually is thinking. And again, that's not just pertaining to this situation. I'm just saying in general, groups or movements and stuff like that can stand for one thing, and someone can get in the mix and push their own personal line. And, you know, things can go down in the books a different way. It's pretty crazy if you think about it. This could escalate quickly and many could be hurt. I hope they are safe and want them to remember to look out for Ray Epps type characters because they will be there. This is what the government wants, to give them a reason to deploy troops to enact a sort of martial law, as I have previously stated. So again, there we go again with things erupting out of control, martial law, force, you know. Could that happen? Will that happen? I mean, it's scary, man. Wild times we're living in. I always say, when I say that, it's wild times we're living in. Certain situations, like in certain things, sometimes when I cover stuff and tap in with y'all, the people, again, that's what it's all about over here on J Coffee Talk, is talking with the people on whatever the topic may be. We have a saying over here, let's agree to disagree if need be. You know, it's not about arguing. It happens sometimes or whatever. But sometimes I just feel so cliche with certain things I say. But for real, these are crazy times we're living in. But make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and join the discussion. Let's carry on. How do you think how do you think this will affect our country and the conflict here at home? So pretty crazy, man. You got convoys of patriots, as it's being described, you know, U.S. citizens showing up, pushing their movement. You know, could this erupt? Could this potentially become a conflict, a civil war, or something of that nature on American soil? I hope not. Or is this, as others are saying, a political situation that's being pushed out in this form. You know, I don't know. Like I always say, when politics and bills and different things like that are in the mix, there can be different agendas. It can just be very confusing. I always say this fully when it comes to POLITICS. I hate seeing families and friends ripped apart behind certain issues. You know, we're all just people trying to push on and live life and get by and stuff like that. Especially the average working class individuals. Life is what it is. Just trying to pay the bills and stuff like that. And things can get so heated and tense behind these situations. And oftentimes it boils down to something else, you know, being what's going on. But many feel in this situation, this is really what it is, what we're seeing before our eyes. So I'm going to bring us to that clip that I was talking about with the Florida governor. But one more thing I wanted to talk about that always comes up in a lot of discussions and we talk about on this channel is the Fenty situation. Killing people left and right, changed life forever. You know, as I always share, there's another thing we talk about a lot on this channel, addiction and drugs and sobriety and stuff like that. How in this current climate, it is not like in the past where people may experiment with certain substances in their life and live to tell about it. Oh man, I remember when I was younger, I did this and that. I was stupid. Or man, I had a stage in my life where I did this during college or whatever. Like, it's not like that anymore. You can die the first time you do something. I mean, you always could, but you really can nowadays. It's almost like a fact that if you're messing around like that, you know, you will die sooner rather than later. And, you know, when you bring in everyone raising families, the youth growing up these days, you know, we all grew up, we all made decisions. We all might have wanted to fit in or just rebel or whatever, but it's so scary, you know, with our kids growing up in this world, man, you know, like real talk. It's 2024. It's crazy. And we're not even through January yet. So much stuff going on. Aliens, border conflicts, crazy faces in the sky by the moon. 2024 seems like it's going to be a doozy, and we're not even 1/12 of the way through. But back to what I was saying about the Fenty and all that. Do you guys think this plays a major part in that with the border stuff, or do you think it'll find its way in no matter what? Just wanted to throw that out there and ask everyone who taps into this video their thoughts on that as well. But here we go. Here's that clip from the Florida governor. Let's talk in the comments. Stay tuned for updates. It's crazy, man. Texas going at it with the US of A. What will be the outcome?
The Texas issue. It's an American issue. And you have a situation. We've had over 8 million people pour into this country illegally just in the last 3 years. And I've been down there. We've had people down there for years now, on and off, helping out. You've got people from China. You've got people from Iran, other parts of the Middle East, North Africa, Russia. This is not just people coming from Mexico. In fact, I bet you most people are not from Mexico, or even maybe Central America would be the bulk of it. But a lot of people, anyone that wants to do us harm, will look at that border as the easiest soft underbelly this country has right now. So I think that if the federal government is saying that it is not only not going to enforce the law, but it's going to somehow prohibit a state from faithfully enforcing the law, that is not the way this Constitution was designed. And I think that the states being able to step up, ensure the sovereignty of their territory and the sovereignty of our country is something that's appropriate. It's something that the founders envisioned if you had a derelict executive and the federal government. And I think states should be able to work together. So yes, I mean, we have EMAC requests that come in all the time from other states. And we've sent people to help California respond to wildfires and things. We've sent people to help Texas in the past, not just for immigration, but for natural disaster, and many other states. And many states have sent to Florida. Hurricane Ian, we had a lot of support that came from other states. So that's just something that we do. And if Texas, they have requested, we've got FHP, Fish and Wildlife, we've had Guard, we may do more National Guard, but we also would be willing to do the Florida State Guard. And the reason why you would want to do the State Guard is because the president would not be able to federalize the State Guard. That's the reason why we did the State Guard, grew out of the mandates that they were imposing on the military. We looked at it and said, well, wait a minute, these are young people, most of them are in good shape anyways, a lot of them had, and then especially when people were still getting infected, even if they took the, okay, well, why would you mandate this? So we were opposed to that. We said in the Florida National Guard, there will be no in the National Guard, which is great, and it's good to say that. And it's great to say that, but the reality is National Guard units are administratively controlled from Washington. So our view was, okay, we'll fight them on this, but ultimately Washington probably does have the authority to trump us on National Guard because they have administrative control. So then we did the Florida State Guard so that people would be able to go to the State Guard and not have to be subjected to this. Turns out they ended up backing down and they never enforced against the state of Florida, and we stood up and protected our people. We were happy with that. So we did the State Guard partially for that, but then partially it's just you control your own destiny with the State Guard. I mean, the federal government will grab our National Guardsmen and they'll send them all over the world in some of these missions. And some of these missions, you know, Biden isn't even standing up forthrightly to defend our troops. He's got them in Syria and Iraq and all these places, and they're just taking pot shots from there, and he's not really doing much to respond. So why should we just have people just get plucked out of here to be doing whatever these guys in Washington want? If these are people serving the state, you know, we want to be able to have control over that. So I think it's good policy to be able to allow us to fulfill requests from other states with either the National Guard or the State Guard. And the issue with the Texas border, though, if we have Florida State Guard and other states have their own state guards, then that's not something that Biden could just simply federalize. And I don't know if it's going to come to this, but just think about what does that say to the American people if you are federalizing the Texas National Guard in order to take barricades down from the border to let more people come in illegally. And the thing is it's just like, this is a lot of people. We wouldn't be able to absorb 8 million even if it was legal, because it's just the housing, the medical, the education, all this. I mean, there are places where the schools have been overwhelmed. So it's just not a way you can conduct business as a country. But if he's doing that, I mean, man, what a statement that would be, that you're going against the state who's just simply trying to uphold the law. And I would note that we've banned sanctuary cities in Florida, for example, but there are sanctuary cities in a lot of other places around this country and sanctuary states. I mean, we did a couple months ago, I did a debate with the governor of California, with Hannity, and I researched some of the stuff that goes on in California. It's a sanctuary state. They're proud of that. And then they have sanctuary cities and counties. And so you had a situation in LA where you had somebody that had been deported 3 times.